Seven Knights ReBirth is one of those games that tries to balance being a throwback and a modern gacha experience at the same time. On paper, that sounds great. You get nostalgia from the original Seven Knights, but with mechanics that make sense in today's mobile gaming scene. But does it actually hold up in practice, or does it just grind you down until you're begging for mercy? The story follows Evan and Karen, who set off on a journey to fulfill Evan's grandfather's last wish. Their quest? Track down the owner of a mysterious necklace. Along the way, Rudy, one of the original Seven Knights, gives them his blessing, and off they go through forests, deserts, caves, and lands that look like they were ripped out of 5 different RPGs mashed together. You'll meet plenty of characters with heavy baggage, because of course you do. Evan's sense of justice means he's constantly helping strangers, which is both wholesome and exhausting. It pulls him into conflicts, makes enemies out of people he barely knows, and gives him a squad of loyal allies along the way. It's classic RPG stuff. By today's standards though, the story feels a bit basic. Games like Knights and Honkai have raised the bar with darker, more layered storytelling. But if ReBirth really adapts the whole original saga, get ready for something that's sometimes depressing, sometimes frustrating, and sometimes surprisingly emotional. Now let's get into the good stuff, the combat. Seven Knights ReBirth isn't just a copy-paste of the old game. It still mixes turn-based mechanics with real-time action, but it actually feels smoother. Characters attack automatically in sequence based on speed, and you decide when to fire off their skills. This makes fights snappy instead of being a complete auto-battle snooze fest, at least when you want to stay engaged. The twist is in how cooldowns work. In the original, skills had 2 cooldowns, a long one that could last up to 2 minutes, and a short team-wide pause so you couldn't just spam attacks. It was clunky. ReBirth fixes this by tying the short cooldown to normal attacks. After using a skill, your team basically has to get through a few basic attacks before the next skill comes up. It keeps the pacing consistent and prevents button mashing, which is actually a pretty smart change. And yes, the flashy skills are back. If you played the first game, you'll remember the over-the-top animations, meteors, lasers, screen shakes, dramatic camera zooms. It's anime spectacle turned up to 11. The only problem? The camera angles are still flat and static most of the time. Imagine fighting a skyscraper-sized boss, and instead of feeling like you're staring up at something massive, the enemy just awkwardly crouches into the frame like it's posing for a yearbook photo. It kills the vibe a bit, and that's a shame, because some of these fights deserve better presentation. Speaking of presentation, let's talk about the elephant in the room: auto features. ReBirth is one of those games where if you really want, you can let the game play itself. It can auto-run stages, auto-swap characters, and basically handle most of the grind without you touching the screen. On one hand, that's convenient if you're just farming materials. On the other, it can make the whole game feel hollow, like you're babysitting an app instead of actually playing. Compare that to games like Honkai Star Rail, which let you auto-fight trash mobs but force you to take control for bosses. Here, you can let it all play out while you scroll TikTok. That kind of kills the satisfaction for anyone who wants challenge. The story delivery doesn't help either. Your character is invisible. You're more of an invisible observer with dialogue options. Characters are voiced, but usually only for short snippets, while the full dialogue scrolls silently. If you use autoplay, the text sometimes flies by before you've even finished reading. It makes the pacing awkward and hard to get invested in. For short bus stop gaming sessions, it's fine, but if you want a fully immersive story, not so much. Now, let's be real, the grind is brutal. The main way to earn rubies, the premium currency, is by leveling characters to 30. Every single character. Sounds easy until you realize the only way to do that is by running adventure stages again and again until you start questioning your life choices. At least the game gives you automation tools to swap characters in and out so you don't have to babysit every run, but still, it's a grind fest. That grind feeds into another big system, crafting. Unlike many gachas, ReBirth actually lets you craft high-tier characters. That sounds amazing on the surface until you realize it requires throwing in multiple 6-star units as fodder. So yeah, you're going to be farming, ranking up, and sacrificing characters for a long time before you actually see results. It's daunting, and the stamina system caps how much you can do per day unless you want to keep buying refills. Classic gacha move. But here's the thing, at least most characters have a role somewhere. The meta is heavily content specific. Some heroes are raid specialists, some shine in PvP, others are great for farming. Take Shane, who absolutely melts single-target raid bosses but is nearly useless elsewhere. Or Asura, who's terrible in that same raid but clutch in another. PvP, meanwhile, has its own wild team comps, from full crowd control lineups to revive spam cheese builds. It means even bad characters can find a purpose, which softens the blow of unlucky pulls a little. So, is it fun? Well, the combat system has enough tactical depth to keep things interesting if you actually play manually. The skill animations are still flashy and fun to watch, even if the camera angles waste some of that spectacle. And the crafting system gives you something long-term to grind for, which is appealing to players who love optimization. But you also have to accept the downsides. The story pacing is weak, the auto systems can make the game feel hands-off, and the grind is absolutely massive. If you're the type of player who enjoys putting in hours of farming to slowly build the perfect team, this game will scratch that itch. If you're looking for something casual with bite-sized sessions, it can work for that too, thanks to autoplay. But if you want deep storytelling or a game that respects your time, you're probably going to get burned out. At the end of the day, 7 Knights ReBirth is a solid remake with modern polish, but it's still chained to its gacha roots. It's flashy, it's grindy, and it's the kind of game that feels best when you dip in and out rather than trying to binge. Whether it's worth playing really depends on how much tolerance you have for grind and how much you love flashy, anime-style combat. So if you're in it for the spectacle and you don't mind farming your life away, 7 Knights ReBirth might be worth a download. But if you want a story-driven RPG that grabs you by the collar and doesn't let go, this probably isn't the one. Thanks for watching, and if you've played 7 Knights before, you'll probably feel right at home here. Just make sure you pack some patience, because this game eats time like it's at an all-you-can-eat buffet.